Previously on a Very Odd Caster. Very odd news. Punxsutawney Phil predicted an early spring on an overcast Friday morning at Gobbler's Knob in Pennsylvania. Do we really need to know about Gobbler's Knob? And interestingly enough, President Biden didn't see his shadow either on Groundhog's Day, and that means 4 more years of forgetting the names of world leaders. Oh, come on, it's true. Meanwhile, 4 more years of indictments for the other guy. So, federal prosecutors say a New York City man who admitted to smuggling 3 Burmese pythons in his pants through a U.S.-Canadian border crossing was sentenced Wednesday to a year of probation and fined $5,000, prosecutors said. Calvin Batista, age 38, crossed into northern New York with the hidden snakes on a bus from Montreal to New York City on July 15th, 2018. The young adult snakes were hidden in the inner thigh of his pants in snake bags tied to the pants drawstring. Imagine the Border Patrol's surprise. Is that a python in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? So, he was sentenced on Valentine's Day. It didn't actually happen on Valentine's Day, but I thought, that would be pretty sweet Valentine's Day story. Some dude shows up with flowers to his date, and they're going out on, maybe it's their first date, and love is in the air, and who knows what might happen, right? And she said, "Oh, that's so sweet. Is that a python in your pants?" Welcome to the March edition of A Very Odd Caster. That certainly was a good time in Savannah, Georgia, a year ago on St. Patrick's Day. I did not go there this year, but I was just sharing some home video footage. This year, I did not go anywhere for St. Patrick's Day. However, earlier this month, I did make a trip south to the sunny state of Florida, and I just saw a fruit fly circling by. Dang, those things are elusive little guys. I have a feeling this is going to be a recurring theme for this edition of A Very Odd Caster. So yes, welcome. We are here broadcasting live from Caster's Pub here. And Caster's Pub, of course, is a cozy little place. It's not really a club per se, a dance joint. Although from time to time, some of the patrons do like to bust a move. So yes, I did take a trip earlier this month to the sunny state of Florida. Went by plane, and it just never ceases to amaze me, the ridiculousness you see when you're traveling by plane. My sympathies go out to those hardworking people who work for the airline industry because they have to deal every day with people. And there's some notes I took. The plane I was on flying back, we encountered quite a bit of turbulence. It was kind of, bouncy, shall we say. Maybe not the most bouncy flight I've been on, but it was pretty bouncy. And the lady next to me, so I was sitting on the aisle, and to my right, across the aisle, was this lady who was sound asleep. And she had apparently poured herself a nice drink of soda or something that was filled nearly to the top of the cup. And it was resting in the little cup holder on the tray. Her tray was down and everything. But she was lying back in her seat with the blanket over, and she was like, eh. And meanwhile, there's a lot of turbulence. So the plane's going, and I'm watching with utter fascination at her drink. Because, again, the thing was pretty full. And the beverage was just shaking and going back and forth. And I'm like, is this going to happen? Is it going to spill all over this lady? So I waited, and it seemed to go on forever, but it never spilled on her. Was I rooting for it to spill on the lady? Probably. It was a long flight. Sitting next to me on the left was a gentleman who at one point asked to get up to go to the bathroom, so I stood up and got out of my seat and let him pass by, and he went off to the bathroom. And then he came back a few minutes later, and while he was gone, I was thinking, maybe I should go too. I'm going to have to get up anyhow when he comes back to the seat to let him in. So I might as well take that opportunity to go number one myself. I didn't really have to go that bad, but So when he came back, I let him in, and I headed back towards the back of the plane. And it was, again, very bouncy. And everybody on my route to the laboratory at the back was sound asleep. And I don't know, it's just like the lady next to me with the drink going all over the place. And I'm looking at it, and as I'm walking back on the aisle back towards the back of the plane, everybody had the same look on their face. They're all like this. Oh, the humanity. But it was bouncy, and when I got to the laboratory at the back, the plane's kind of moving, and there was this flight attendant, a male flight attendant, who was watching me approach the bathroom, and he was looking at me like this. And I'm like, fuck this guy looking at. So I go out there, there's somebody in the laboratory, so I had to wait my turn. And we're still bouncing around, and the male flight attendant said, "You shouldn't be out of your seat. It's dangerous." And I'm like, "It is?" And he was sitting buckled up, and the other flight attendant, a female, was sitting next to him also buckled up. And so the male flight attendant said, "Yes, you see, the flight attendants are all strapped into their seats. It's very dangerous." So I kind of said, "All right, well, I guess I can hold it." And I turned around and I made my way back down the aisle. It was definitely shaking a lot. So he was probably correct that it was dangerous. So anyhow, and then, when the plane landed, it was a little bit of a wobbly landing, but the pilot did a good job. No real problems. It was fairly smooth, actually, compared to other bouncy landings I've had before. But when we landed, there was a group in the back of the plane who applauded. Yeah, like that. And I'm thinking, Act like you've been there before, people. Right? I don't get it. I've seen that all the time. I've seen it when it's not even bumpy. It's smooth, glide path all the way. And you're sound asleep and you're like, did we just land? It's so smooth, you know. But there's this group of people in the back. Oh! They're back there with their sedatives and everything. So it's just kind of a strange deal flying sometimes. And airports themselves are a very interesting place, you know. It's very chaotic. You've got people stressed out, late for their flights, worried that they're going to make their flights. You got other people who are killing time and they're just like, you know. And airports are also interesting in that you see a lot of famous people in airports, you know. Most everybody at one point or another has seen somebody famous in an airport. And you also see a lot of people who aren't famous, but who look like someone who's famous. And on this excursion, I saw a guy as I was walking to the restroom come out of the restroom who looked like Chief Justice John Roberts. And this guy, it wasn't him, but it looked like John Roberts. And he's coming out of the bathroom just staring at his phone, looking at social media on his phone, you know, almost walking into people, you know. And, oh, look, I got 5 million likes on my Obamacare ruling. You know, and I kept running into this guy throughout. Baggage claim, he's still on his phone, you know. Obviously, it was not the Chief Justice. He's got more important things to do. They've got a lot of cases in front of them that kind of will dictate what kind of America we live in. And actually, when I went into the bathroom, it was fairly empty. Maybe they all cleared out when they saw the Chief Justice come in. But I came in and there's this one tall guy standing at the far stall, and he's like 6 feet away from the stall. You know, I got kind of intimidated. I'm like, I'm not going to stand next to him, and he's standing 6 feet back, for God's sake. So I went and made my way to the stall next to the child stall, you know, so I could feel better about myself. Ah, yes. So March is here. March is here. March is here. And we're going to be talking a little bit about March Madness in a bit. But I wanted to try out a brand new segment here on A Very Odd Caster. I figured since I am now getting up there in chronology, I thought, let's do a segment called Hey Kids, Get Off of My Lawn. Hey, you, get off of my lawn. Hey, you, get off of my lawn. Hey, you, get off of my lawn. And don't go around trying to mow it. I'm thinking that this segment will be, you know, sort of showing the generation gap between people around my age and the youngins out there. And obviously one gap is the technology gap. So even though people my age, a lot of people my age, you know, they use modern technology fairly well. I mean, there's a range and whatnot, but it's nothing compared to young people, right? It just flows within them. One thing about modern technology, maybe it's actually AI, is the Face ID feature that you have on your mobile phones. So now, you know, instead of having to pop in a passcode, you just hold the phone up, it recognizes your face, and it lets you in. That's pretty sophisticated. But Face ID is not really foolproof because, you know, on those days when you're looking like shit and your hair's all over the place, you look at the Face ID and it goes, it like shakes its head no, because it doesn't recognize you. And you look at it again, you're like, and it shakes its head again like, I don't know who you are, ugly motherfucker. These are just some of the modern technological advances that we have to put up with here in the modern age. Also, like with all generations, as time goes on, new expressions kind of enter the vernacular of the English language here in the United States of America. I think that's where we're at now. Sometimes I'm not sure anymore. But there's a lot of expressions that weren't really hip when I was a young man. And I'm going to roll through a few of them here. You do you. I don't know if that's a young thing, but it's an expression now. It's basically saying, oh, well, do what you want, do what makes you feel good. You do you. I'm like, well, what if I'm horny? Or if somebody, a waitress asks you if you want a refill or want anything else, for example, and you say, oh, I'm good. Well, what does that mean exactly? Oh, I'm good. We all know what it means. It's like, no, thank you. It's a more contemporary way of saying, no, thank you. I'm currently satisfied. But you're like, I'm good. But what if you're not good? What if you're a real dick? You'd be lying. Whether you want a refill or not, you'd be lying. Here's another one. Is that a thing? Mainly, like, I guess that means, oh, is that what people are doing these days? Is that a popular thing? I didn't realize it. Somebody kind of trying to get up to speed with things. Is that a thing? Now, if I had said that to the tall gentleman in the airport bathroom who was standing 6 feet behind the stall while he was urinating, if I said, is that a thing? He might turn to me and say, what you looking at, motherfucker? Another expression, when someone agrees with you, I hear this even more from older people about my age than I do from younger people, even though I think it came from younger people. And that expression is, I know, right? You're agreeing. Somebody says something, you agree with it, instead of just saying, oh yeah, which I guess used to be what we said when we were conscious. Now it's, well, I know, right? So it's a little weird, I think. Mainly because people type that into texts and email communication. I know, right? Question mark. It's like, okay. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's a expression that's been co-opted by the boomers, which leads me to the next expression. Okay, boomer. Oh, we're going to take a little peek at the little segment we compiled several episodes ago.
Okay, my candidate doesn't win the election, it's gonna be the end of democracy.
Okay, doom and gloomer! Well, today, boys and girls, we're gonna look at pictures of how doggies make babies. Okay, groomer!
Last night I dreamed that I was a big long dock and all the boats were tied up to me.
Okay, Lunar! Okay, Mooner! Okay, Perfumer! Okay, Pruner! Okay, Tuner!
Another expression, no worries, which is basically, it's okay, or don't worry about it, right? That's, I guess, what that means. But no worries, that's a fairly recent, somewhat recent addition to the vernacular. Another expression, yeah, it is. So if you walk out and it's 100 degrees out and you're sweating, you're like, oh, jeez, is it hot? And the person next to you says, yeah, it is. Used to be like, no shit. So I guess we're cleaning up our language, aren't we? It's getting worse. It's getting worse. If a sewer mouth like myself gets offended easily, you know it's getting worse. Oh, here's another term that I've heard that youngsters say, savage, which, they use it a lot when someone burns somebody. There's my vernacular. But if somebody says something to mock the other person and it's a good one, savage. Or it could be just somebody really good, like in sports. Somebody makes a ridiculous shot from 30 feet. Oh, that was savage. That's a very interesting expression. Savage, to me, always meant like over in the jungle with grass skirts and spears and, kind of primitive cultures type thing. Ooh, what am I stepping in here? And the last little bit, and this one has always annoyed me. This has gone on for a long time. When I became a papa and we started mingling with our small children with other people and their small children, at some point, somebody thought it was a good idea to teach little kids to call strangers by their first name, Mr. or Miss or Mrs. or whatever, and then their first name. So say if my name was John, and there's some little kid who I don't even know says, Mr. John, what do you think of it? It's like, I always thought that was a little goofy. I still think it's goofy. Because these kids then grow up and they're 20 years old. They see you all these years later. They're like, hey, Mr. John, how you doing? Like, dude. I'm not sure about the origins of that. I kind of think it was spawned in our preschool education, maybe? Or, I don't know. When did it become okay? I mean, it was always like Mr. or Mrs. last name, right? That was the sign of respect. Calling them by their first name and assigning a Mr. or Miss is just goofy. You know, remember way back in the early days of SNL, there was the Mr. Bill character. Oh no! Yeah, so we're all like Mr. Bill now to these kids. Hey, Mr. Bill, what you doing? I just want to say, well, I'm about to dump a soda all over your head, kid. So that was our new segment called, Hey, Kid, Get Off of My Lawn.
Hey, hey, you, get off of my lawn. Hey, hey, you, get off of my lawn. Hey, hey, you, get off of my lawn. And don't come around trying to mow it.
So we'll see. So we're now in March, and it is March Madness. And I've got to say, I'm not into it like I used to be. A lot of people still are. It's still a big deal. Once the Super Bowl ends, I sort of tune out from sports for a while. I get back into it when the NBA playoffs start, because the NBA regular season is almost unwatchable. There is no worse sporting event in the history of human existence than the NBA All-Star Game. Maybe once upon a time it was okay. How do you screw up a basketball game? Well, try watching it. It's horrible. But anyhow, but college basketball, I think, has gone downhill too. I started noticing this a number of years back, and the reason is because a lot of the... All right, we're going to pause because Frito is out there barking. I've noticed over the years that the quality of the college game seems to have declined. A big part of that is that the very best college players leave early for the pros. So you're not going to have the Magic versus Bird showdown like you did back in the day. You just don't have that kind of matchup. Patrick Ewing versus Michael Jordan in the finals. You're just not going to see that anymore. Most of the best players are gone, and the ones that are left are good players, but most of them don't really pan out too well in the pros. And you see it just in terms of the way teams play. It's very frantic and a lot of missed shots and jacking up threes, missing threes. And I don't know. It just seems, again, maybe this is a boomer moment, but it seems that the quality of play is just not quite what it was. There's also a lot of blowouts. I don't like watching blowouts. A lot of times when it gets to the championship game, you're like pumped up, and then it's a blowout. The Super Bowl suffered from that for a long time, but now they're very competitive games usually. So, I'm not. I don't have a bracket because I don't know I have no idea. I don't follow it. I will say that it seems that women's basketball is generating a lot more attention because of this Caitlin Clark girl who set the all-time scoring record. She's a Marks woman. I had to say that slowly, didn't I? And so there's a lot of attention to see what she does and what her team does. Will I be watching Caitlin Clark? Nope. I won't be watching the men's either till it gets late. And I'll probably click it on. I don't know. I got to take a break sometimes. Football season is a long season for me. I start watching around Labor Day, and I'm watching college, I'm watching pros, I'm watching Sunday night football, I'm watching Monday night football, I'm watching Thursday night football, I'm watching Saturday college, I'm watching Sunday afternoon. It's nonstop, and it goes from the beginning of September to the beginning of February. How many months is that? Let's see, real quick, kids. 5 months? 5 months of my life, I'm doing nothing but watching sports passively. You know, if I was playing it, it's a different story, but I'm just sitting there. So at the end of the football season, I just need a break, you know? Like I said, I'll probably tune in the NBA playoffs, but until then, and I will tune in a little bit on the when it gets near the Final Four. But I don't have a horse in the race. And now it is time. We're going to pivot from the world of sports to the world of very odd news. We have just a few stories to cover here for the month of March. Here's one. Headline says, "How do animals react during a total solar eclipse? Scientists plan to find out in April." So, of course, there's a total solar eclipse coming. That's a big deal. It's when the moon blocks the sun entirely, and in the middle of the day, it's pitch black. It's going to be creepy. You know, it's going to be like I Am Legend or something. You know, the last time that happened was when I watched that reality show, 1,000 Pound Girls. The last time that happened was the last Amy Schumer movie that came out. So anyhow, so scientists are planning to find out how animals react during a total solar eclipse. So this article says, when a total solar eclipse transforms day into night, will tortoises start acting romantic? Well, I'm always curious about that. Will giraffes gossip? No, gossip. Hey man, you see that dude with the small neck? Will giraffes gallop? Will apes sing odd notes? Researchers will be standing by to observe how animals' routines at the Fort Worth Zoo in Texas are disrupted when skies dim on April 8th. They previously detected other strange animal behaviors in 2017 at a South Carolina zoo that was in the path of total darkness. To our astonishment, most of the animals did surprising things, said Adam Hartstone Rose. How many names do you need? A North Carolina State University researcher who led the observations published in the journal, wait for it, Animals. So scientists are keen to find out what animals are going to do when this total, see the spit come out of my mouth there? Where did it go? You ever wonder that? Where does spit wind up when it comes out of your mouth? You know? So scientists are trying to figure out how animals are going to react to this total solar eclipse. Now, human behavior, meanwhile, doesn't change much at all during eclipses. Humans will still stare at their phones all day and argue about politics. Online. Here's one. Rare two-faced calf, born last month at a Louisiana farm, is flourishing despite the odds. A rare calf born with 2 faces, 4 eyes, 2 noses, 2 mouths, and 2 ears, continued to flourish Thursday, 8 days after its birth at a southwest Louisiana farm. The owners of Breaux Farms, hey, it's spelled like B-R-E-A-U-X, but it's pronounced Bro. Yo, Breaux Farms, man. Fuck. Shit. The owners of Breaux Farms LLC in Cassonade, a community about 90 miles west of Baton Rouge, said the calf, which appears normal from the ears back, was named Deux-Face. Deux is French for 2. The chance of this type of birth is 1 in 400 million, Eric and Dawn Breaux said in a post on Facebook. Apparently, though, the calf is destined to have a very short lifespan. However, in the short time the two-faced calf is with us, it will likely be one heck of a politician. Yeah, that's a bipartisan political joke. So I'm not going to get zapped by the censors. So I'm happy. So I got that going for me, which is nice. 4 are charged with concealing a corpse, evidence tampering, in Long Island body parts case. Woo. 4 people have been charged with concealing a human corpse and tampering with evidence in Long Island. But enough about the recent White House press conference. All right. Here we go. 2 people are facing arrest warrants in North Carolina in a poaching case involving hundreds of Venus flytraps. You know what Venus flytraps are? Yeah, there's a picture of one. Yeah, they open their mouth and they just sort of sit there, and then when a fly lands on them, they're pretty cool. I used to own one when I was a kid. Anyway, this story comes to us from Boiling Spring Lakes, North Carolina. Authorities in North Carolina have obtained arrest warrants for 2 people in a poaching case involving hundreds of Venus flytraps, which grow naturally in the eastern part of the state. Officers with the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission obtained arrest warrants for 2 people accused of stealing nearly 600 Venus flytraps from conservation land in Boiling Spring Lakes. Well, that certainly came back to bite them in the ass. See, the flytrap's mouth is open, and these 2 people are stealing them. And then while they were stealing them, they got arrested, and then the flytrap bit it. The Philadelphia Phillies have scrapped their popular $1 hot dog nights for the 2024 baseball season. The Phillies replaced dollar dogs on select dates with a 2-for-1 deal at 2 April games at Citizens Bank Park. And the story says, for more than a quarter century, Phillies fans considered dollar hot dog night among the best ballpark promotions. But the team has now decided it was the worst. W-U-R-S-T. Yeah. Pun. Love them. Those dog days of April, when Philly weather is cold and wieners are a steal, are gone. The Phillies officially ended the popular promotion Thursday and replaced dollar dogs on select dates with a 2-for-1 wiener deal at 2 April games at Citizens Bank Park. Now, while most fans were outraged by the move to 2 wieners for the price of 1, The Kardashian sisters reportedly went out and bought season tickets. See what I did there? So we're coming out of a leap year month of February, and apparently there's a satirical French newspaper that only publishes once every 4 years on leap year. It's just a sort of like The Onion, a leap year only publication filled with cringeworthy puns and commentary on events of the past 4 years. So it's just a spoof newspaper. Meanwhile, in the US, though, cable news networks will only air stories not involving Trump once every 4 years. So we've got that to look forward to 4 years from now. Do you know that the next leap year is going to be remarkable because it's not going to be Trump versus Biden? Damn. Wow. Senator Bernie Sanders, the far left-wing independent and former presidential candidate from Vermont, this week introduced a bill that would shorten the American work week from 40 hours to 32 hours. When asked what he was calling the new bill, Sanders said, "For me, that would be called double overtime." He's not a very hard worker, that Bernie. Oh! Delayed zap. Ooh. Oh. Well, I knew 2024 was going to be a year of shock therapy. But let's keep rolling because I'm starting to build up a tolerance for that. Anxiety grows for Democrats despite Biden making it through the State of the Union address in one piece. So yeah, Biden, everyone was waiting to see if he'd start drooling or forget where he was and something. But he delivered a typical State of the Union speech and big sigh of relief from his handlers. But still, nonetheless, Democrats remain concerned about Biden. He's trailing in the polls right now to Trump. And a lot of people are still calling on Biden to step aside for the good of the party, even though he's clinched the nomination already. These folks are sort of holding out hope that the party's elders can convince Biden to reconsider running. But the problem, of course, is that Biden is the party elder. Oh! I think this side is now paralyzed. Well, I better pivot here. Meanwhile, Hollywood is planning to remake one of the most iconic comedy films of all time. That's right, kids. Caddyshack. The new Caddyshack will begin filming in 2025 with an all-new cast. Producers are keeping a tight lid on who will appear in the film, but rumor has it that if Donald Trump does not win the 2024 election, he will be cast in the role of Judge Smails, the part originally played by the late Ted Knight. Now, as part of a Very Oddcasters election year coverage, we will now read selected scenes from the original Caddyshack script, incorporating Trump in the role of Judge Smails. This scene takes place fairly early in the first half hour, about a half hour into the movie. It's out on the fairway. Sandy McFiddish, Bushwood's Scottish greenskeeper, is standing by his electric utility cart with his tartan tam in his hands, taking orders from Judge Smails.
Do you know what moles can do to a golf course?
They must be tunneling in from that construction site across the road.
They don't care where they're coming from. I want every last mole exterminated, or Bushwood will start looking for a new greenskeeper. Is that clear?
Very clear, sir. There's a whole script full of scenes with Judge Smails. Oh! Ooh. All right, well, the shock waves are a little more balanced now. Oh, yes. Yeah, there's these built-in sensors behind the bar here at Castor's Pub. And when I make a partisan political joke on either side, I get shocked, you know. And the only thing missing is Steve Harvey. Now it's time for our musical segment of the month, and we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a little, almost like a name that tune type thing. I'm going to start by playing a song, an old song from the swingin' 60s by Sly and the Family Stone. See if you recognize it. All right, you get the message. So that song, Sly and the Family Stone, Hot Fun in the Summertime, that little riff there, that boom, 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 boom. Here, let's go over to the keyboard. So that riff in Hot Fun in the Summertime is the same riff to what song? That's right, Genesis, Misunderstanding. The same riff. But wait, there's more. So not only is that Sly and the Family Stone riff identical to the main riff of the Genesis song, it's very similar to a famous Led Zeppelin song. Different, but kind of the same sort of thing. So what does that prove? It proves that a lot of music is rehash. And it's funny because when I hear like one songwriter criticizing another songwriter, it's sort of like, dude, I bet you if we looked closely in your catalog, we'd find some similarities. And boy, wouldn't you be surprised. So that's a little bit of music education for this edition of Very Odd Castor. So there, Now you know something you didn't know before. So there you have it, this month's musical entry, changing up things a little bit. See, you learn all sorts of stuff here on A Very Odd Caster. Now you're getting musical theories type stuff, and you didn't even ask for it. So now, on that note, I think that's about it for us. We're rolling on through the month of March, and we're going to be into April before you know it. And we shall return at that time on another exciting episode of A Very Odd Caster.